Hello everyone, this is the Book Corner. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Most people know by now I am a author, and I am currently in the middle of writing my first book in my trilogy series, and everything. So with that mentioning thing out of the way, I feel like as a logical human being, and also what I said before, and also a book lover, to kind of do videos every time that these book bans, book censorship, all this stuff happens. And I am following a page called Penn America, and they had a link to a Times article. And Times Magazine, I really like Times Magazine because they introduce articles that I would have never gotten from other sources. So Time Magazine is a really good magazine. They did an article years ago about hormones in food and what it's doing to young children's bodies. And I thought that was an interesting article, and I told my mother about it, and she was like, "Oh wow, that's interesting." So she bought Time Magazine and read the article for herself. And then she made a comment about, I know, I know that all this hormones inside food is gonna come back to bite somebody on the butt later on down the road. So Tennessee, we're not too far. I'm not too far from Tennessee. Tennessee legislators enacted a let me rephrase that. The Tennessee governor signed a bill into law that targets book sellers and publishing houses. And I mean publishing houses, like the big publishing houses. The ones that don't exist in the state of Tennessee. So the law states quite plainly that if a bookseller or a publishing house sends books to any school in the state of Tennessee, that they will be fined $10,000, and they will go to what I would call the naughty place for a certain number of years. I think it's 1 to 3 years or something like that. Yeah, the naughty place. Yeah, they're going to be in there with like convicted killers and child molesters and all that type of stuff. So, here's a little history of booksellers for people that were born after 2001. Here's a little history of booksellers. So, I know booksellers. I know how they used to be a long time ago, and they used to do it two ways. They would either they would publish a list of books or they would send a list of books to libraries, both public and like public school libraries and public libraries that you see in these little buildings. They're in the middle of cities and all that type of stuff, or out there in the lonesome, wavy hill areas and all that type of stuff. Small towns and big towns and all that type of stuff. And then they had an event every year. And I don't know when they stopped doing this. So we're going to go back to the annals of time, to the 1980s, when they had RIF. Reading is fundamental. So every year, the booksellers that existed would come into schools, and they would set up their little things, and they would basically sell books to children that got money from their mommy and daddy. Not just only that, I don't know if they have it anymore. Me being away from school for as long as I have, I don't know. But they used to have, Scholastic used to have these little, like, 6-page little catalogs. It was also introduced children to the idea of ordering things. And you could flip through it and you could decide which book or books that you wanted. I was a little jealous of one kid. He got all the books. And so they would arrive and you could bring them home, and I would sit on the couch and I would read my 2 or 3 books that mom gave me money for. Or I would bring my little riff book to back home, and I would sit there and I would read it. And that's what we did back in the 80s. We read books and didn't have the internet. So those are the two methods that children got books. Either they gave the librarian a list of books, which included the name, who wrote it, and what the book is about. Yeah, this is before they had internet. I know it's shocking. Oh my God, they never had the internet in the 98 and the 80s. No, they did not. They did have it in like big like NASA and all that, but not in my house. In fact, we didn't even know that the internet existed. We didn't know that there was something like that in the 80s, but yeah. So fast forward to the here and the now. Tennessee legislators sent the bill to the Tennessee governor. The Tennessee governor signed it. So the idea is to close off any path that these naughty books, these naughty books, can possibly get in the hands of children. This is the thing that royally pisses me off about the whole thing. Children have access to the internet where they can see naughty stuff. It's just I really just boggles the mind about how stupid people are. And and some people say, parents have the right to keep pornography. Like, is your child like? I literally want to laugh my ass off on this, because I am pretty sure that your little 9-year-old has got their hands on Playboy or Playgirl. Because if they have an older brother, the older brother is probably hiding that stuff in his bedroom. So yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So book bans and book censorship and all this stuff that was decided 40 some years ago as to be an unconstitutional, is once again like, oh yeah, we're going to ban these books and keep children from reading about pornography and LGBTQAI plus topics and about races, about how bad people 300 years ago were. I just like, just boggles my mind. Meanwhile, I have no problem with Tommy being on the freaking internet and seeing whatever he wants to see, but I got a problem with books. It just boggles my mind. It absolutely boggles my mind. That is the problem with these book bans and book censorships. They are a clear violation of the First Amendment. And the reason that we have things like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press is because these, and freedom of expression, is because these 4 things historically were suppressed by big governments, big empires, big kings and queens, and all that. During the I want to call it the High Middle Ages. I hope I got the right terminology, the High Middle Ages. Like, as we get closer to the Age of Enlightenment, They actually burned people at the stake for reading the English language Bible, and they burned the book along with its owner, just like they would burn cats along with their owners. And yeah, they just put it up a notch. Just, we're just going to burn people and burn their books. So just two birds with one stone. For the crime of reading these forbidden, naughty books. And then, of course, in the 1920s, they had their own form of book bans. And, of course, it became a rallying, like, oh, yay, hey, come and read these naughty books. And you had the Comic Code Authority that was trying to dictate morality in comic books. Book bans, no matter if they're comic books or they are novels, have been around forever, and they do not work. So what is the point of it? Is point blank is to deter sellers and to deter booksellers, book publishers from doing business in Tennessee and any other state that decides that we're just going to try to sever the Hydra at the neck. It doesn't work. The Hydra forms two heads. So it just shows how much the relationship between booksellers and state government has changed in the last 25, 30 years. It is absolutely amazes me about how poisonous that relationship has in fact gotten. And the only way that you're going to end all this and say, okay, look, children have First Amendment rights, is to go all up to the Supreme Court. And I know that's a whole new kettle of fish. We're not going to get into that little swamp of a mess. But when you have a high court that says this is illegal, this is against the Constitution, therefore it is not welcome in the United States, then what ends up happening is you have them issuing orders that no more book bans, no more book censorship, none of that type of stuff. Which I really hope that happens. I really hope that we get rid of book bans and book censorship. Of course, it could be another way. You could have the president, whoever is in the White House, say, okay, look, we're going to pass this bill that says you cannot ban books in any way, shape, or form, and it becomes the law of the land, and any laws that state governments pass that bans books, bans censorship, does book censorship and all that stuff goes away. How will the Moms for Liberty respond? Probably doing something stupid and illegal. We know it's going to happen. So, yeah. So I just want to get on here and just let you guys know about that, if you guys did not know. Another thing I do want to state, first of all, I did watch Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. That was a really good movie. I enjoyed it immensely. Next week, I'm going to be going to back to Barnes & Noble, because next month, I am going to be reading 2 books during Gay Pride Month. So it's going to be All Boys Are Not Blue, and the number one banned book in America, gender queer. I will be getting both books at Barnes & Noble, plus I'll be picking up 2 more mystery books, the Trick or Treat Murder and Murder by Design. So I will be getting those 2 books as well, and and then I won't be coming back to Barnes & Noble until the second week of next month. So I am looking forward to buying those 2 books and reading them and giving you guys my opinion, because now it also falls into, as we get closer to Banned Book Week, where I will be reading 1 banned book and doing a review of it, where my really nifty I'm with banned books or I read banned books, one of the two. But yeah, so I'm real excited about that. That is something I will be doing every year for the foreseeable future. Another thing that I want to mention in this video is I finally figured out how to use Libby. So borrowing books from Libby is very easy. Figure out how to get them to download onto your Kindle. I had a brain fart for about 8 hours, and I realized that I had to press this little thing on top of where to send it to, and it sent it to my second Kindle, and so now I can read Turncoat when I'm done with Full Moon, which I am. I think I'm on chapter 7. But anyways, yeah, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was informative, and I will see you guys around. Bye.